friends, welcome back to my channel. If you're new and you're stopping by for the first time, welcome. My name is Melissa and I love to do all things crafty on a budget, especially Dollar Tree DIYs and much more. So for today's video, I have 4 fall Dollar Tree DIYs. So if you love DIYing, I would love it if you would become part of the family by clicking the red subscribe button and then tap the bell and all to be notified when I upload. So let's jump right in. So for the first DIY, I picked up 4 more candles from Dollar Tree. I boiled them and got the wax out. Once they were all nice and clean, I went ahead and took these poster stickers and stuck on the word fall, 1 letter to each jar, and then I kind of ombre spray painted them, the bottom black and the top like this gold color, and then I just took my Cricut tool and I just pulled those letters right off. Now I would recommend, I did not spray paint the bottom, so when I went to put the candles in, you couldn't really read the word over the video. I could see it really well in person, but I definitely recommend to spray paint the bottom. Next, I just take some jute twine, put a dab of hot glue in the back, and then I wrap it around a few times just to cover the part where the lid would go. And then I went ahead and I cut the end piece and then took another dab of hot glue, and then I just glued them together. I then just made 4 simple bows. I did the same jute twine for all 4, and then I made 4 simple bows and I glued those right on, stuck some tea light candles in these, and that was it for this project. I do have a bow tutorial. I will link it in the cards in the right hand corner. I have showed it a bazillion times, so I'm sure for my longtime subscribers you guys don't want to see that again, but if you're interested, I will add that to the cards. Now I have a quick word from our sponsor, Alessimo. Hey guys, so I have these 3D reality puzzles that the company Alessimo sent to me for my daughter and I to do. I want to thank Alessimo for sponsoring this video. They are really fun, entertaining, and they get your kids off the electronics and you get to spend time together doing a hands-on activity. They have 13 different puzzles to choose from, and they come with wood cutouts, directions that are easy to follow, paint, and a paintbrush. So everything you need comes with the puzzle, and these can bring out your child's creative side. And if you're interested, please visit alessimo.com. Use the code crafty15 for 15% off at checkout. I will leave all the links down below and the information. I just wanted to show you here that it comes with a really nice direction card, and some are a little bit more difficult than others. The ones that we got were kind of moderate, but I had my daughter just pop them right out, because on the wood sheet, that is where all your wooden pieces will go. And then I went ahead and I put it together. It only took me about 10 minutes. As you can see here, she was having a ball once it was all put together. And then I just she wanted pink, so I just mixed up some pink for her. I got her a cup of water and a paper towel to dry her brush, and I just gave her the paint and the horse, and I just let her go to town. During all this crazy stuff going on, it's easy to just stick your kid right in front of an iPad or whatever. So once they reached out to me, I was really excited to get this product and test it out before I, brought it to you guys, because I like to test it to make sure that it's something I would actually buy. And I'm just so thrilled with this project. My daughter was absolutely thrilled. So again, thank you to Alessimo for sponsoring this video, and don't forget that the links and all the information will be in the description box. So for the next project, I had this little wooden pumpkin left over last year from Dollar Tree. I have seen them this year, and they are the pumpkins that have like a burlap piece on the front, and it's sitting on a base. So I already had that painted and all the stuff off of it. So I had painted over it with the white, and then I took this wooden pumpkin and I had a piece of buffalo check scrapbook paper, so I just laid the bigger pumpkin down, traced it out, and then I cut it out. Now it's up to you. I did remove the burlap piece on the first pumpkin, but you can probably just flip it around and use the back side. You don't need to do that. So once I have it all cut out, I then take my glue stick, and I like to use a glue stick just because when you lay it down you get a much smoother finish than you would with, say, Mod Podge or something like that. So whatever glue you want to use, that's your preference, but I do use a glue stick, and then I flip it around and I just place that down and then smooth it out really nicely so that way I can make sure it has no wrinkles. So after this one was dry, I printed off Fall Sweet Fall. I will leave the information in the description box below, like the font and the font size. And then I just take a piece of graphite paper, which is linked in my Amazon favorites, and I go ahead and I trace those words on. Once I have the words traced, I then go in with my fine point black paint pen. I do get these at Walmart. They are about $2 and some change a piece, but they last a really long time. They come in a bunch of different tip sizes, so if you have a bigger project you can get a bigger one or a smaller one like I was using here. So once I have those, once I have the lettering done, then I go in with my chip brush and some ink Waverly chalk paint, and I dry brush all the way around the edges. Surprise, surprise, if you have been here for any amount of time, then you know that I love this technique. It just really makes a project look finished, and if you feel like your project is missing something, this can definitely make it look and feel finished. So once I dry brush all the way around the edges, I again take some jute twine, I put a dab of hot glue on the back of the stem, and then I wrap it around the stem as many times as it takes to cover the whole stem. So once I have the stem covered, I then just made a simple bow out of some buffalo check ribbon. This is also linked in my Amazon favorites. You get a ton of this ribbon in a roll, and I think it's only like $10. Don't quote me, but anyway, once I have my bow glued onto where the burlap is, I then just take some hot glue at the bottom back of the smaller pumpkin, and then I just stick the bigger pumpkin right on. I do then just lay it down to make sure it is in the spot that I want. I make a simple jute bow and glue that to the top, and that one is finished as well. So for my personal favorite of all the projects that I did today, for the pumpkin patch sign, I start by taking 2 signs and I cut the handles off. Now I got these signs back at Christmas time, but Dollar Tree always has signs, so you don't have to use this particular kind. I'm sure not many people have stuff from Christmas, or actually if you guys are anything like me then you do, but anyway, you just take 2 signs, lay them side by side, and then take large popsicle sticks and some hot glue and glue them together. I then just took the stickers off and I sanded down where the stickers were, and then took some lightweight spackling from Dollar Tree. I spackled the 4 holes, as well as these signs weren't completely straight. I tried to put them together a few different ways to get the middle as straight as possible, if you know what I mean. And any way that I did it, it resulted in the same. So I did put the holes towards the outside so that the frame would kind of cover it, but just in case, I filled them with the spackling, and then I did fill the middle with the spackling, and then I let that dry. I then take my square dowels, which are also linked down in my Amazon favorites. I measure them out for the frame, and then take my mini miter saw, which again is linked in my Amazon favorites, and I cut those down. So I don't know what I did with my stain, you guys. I use this stain all the time. I looked high and low, and I don't understand where it went. So I just took some water, some Waverly Antique Wax, and some black acrylic paint, and I just mixed it up to make a stain. And I'm actually pretty surprised how well this came out to the color that I wanted it to. When it dries, it's a little bit lighter than I wanted, but I actually got it pretty close to my favorite stain, Jacobine. But if you have some stain, just go ahead and use that. And you know, my preference is the Jacobine, but if you have a different preference, then definitely just go ahead and use your favorite stain. So obviously once I had it mixed up, I then just took a paintbrush and I painted, stained, whatever you want to call it, my frame pieces. I also wanted to mention that if you guys have not hit the like button, I would greatly appreciate it. Those thumbs up really help my channel to grow and help YouTube to notice me a bit more. And as I said in the beginning, if you haven't subscribed already and you love Dollar Tree DIYs, I would love to have you a part of the family. We are slowly but surely growing, and I cannot wait to see what the future holds. I will be out for a few weeks because I'm about to have my baby, but I will be uploading until I have her. So once I had the border or the frame stained or painted, I went ahead with my finger sander and I just sanded the spackling down as much as possible. And you can still see that it's white, but I did sand it down as flat as I possibly could. After I did that, I just took my Dyson and I vacuumed up the dust, and then took my favorite brush and some ink Waverly chalk paint, and I give it a coat. I do not try to make this perfect. I wanted some of that brown to show through, so that way it would look like it was weathered, rather than paint it solid white and then go back and sand it. I did just go ahead and leave some of that shining through, and I really love doing this technique because number one, it's been like 105 outside, and number two, I don't really like to sand too much inside because it just makes a total mess. So I set that aside to dry, and I got one of these little houses from Dollar Tree. I take my utility knife and I just score all the way around it where the back piece meets the frame, because I want to put a piece of scrapbook paper on this. So rather than try to cut it out, I just removed the back from the frame. So once I went around a couple times, I then went from the inside because it's kind of like paper holding it together. I originally painted it white, and then I figured that I could just remove it and it would be much easier that way. And then I just ran my utility knife around these pieces that were hanging off of the paper. That way when I put it back together, you couldn't see those pieces. I then just flipped it over so that I had a flat surface. I removed the sticker, and I did use my blow dryer. In a previous video, everybody was saying, use a blow dryer, use a heat gun, and I do know that trick. I'm just pregnant and lazy, you guys, and sometimes I don't feel like pulling stuff out if I don't absolutely need to. But anyway, I just take that same mixture that I had from the pumpkin patch sign frame. and I just basically stained the frame of this little house. I then took this faux wood piece of scrapbook paper and I traced the backing on, cut that out, and then again I took my glue stick and I glued that on. Now this time I did glue straight to the back. Generally I will glue the piece of scrapbook paper, but I figured that I would try it this way, and it does work just as good. I don't know why in my mind I thought that it might not work. I don't know, but anyway, I just glued all around, and then I stuck my piece of scrapbook paper down, smoothed it out once again, and then I always like to set this aside to let the glue stick dry. A glue stick will dry pretty quickly, but I still like to let it dry if I'm working on top of it, just to ensure that it is nice and glued down and won't go anywhere on me. So I set this aside, as well as the frame. The frame needed to dry, and then we're going to hop back to our pumpkin patch sign. So I did just take this farm truck or wooden truck from Dollar Tree, and I took the hanger off of it. And you guys, I'm in love with these little trucks. I picked up a few of them so that I would have them, but I went ahead and I cut the pumpkins off. Now this is just cheap, like really thin wood, so I only had to score it like 3 times and then it popped right off. And I definitely set that aside to use on a different project. So I don't know about you guys, but I save everything. I think it's just a crafter's thing. We always think, oh, I can use this on something else. Let me know in the comments down below if you're the same way or if I'm just crazy, but I have a feeling there's more people than I think that do the same thing. Anyway, I just take my ink Waverly chalk paint and I give this truck a good coat of the black. After I had my truck all painted, I took my chip brush and some white Waverly chalk paint, and I focused on the details on the truck, like the bed of the truck and then around the wheel well and around the edges, just to give those pieces a little bit of pop, and then that way when you're looking at the sign you can see those details. And I did want to mention that it's your preference, whatever color you want to paint your truck. I just really am into neutral colors. I don't like really bright colors, so usually for fall I try to stay for neutral toned down colors. But again, it's totally your preference, and you can change this project up however you like. And then once I'm done with my dry brushing on the truck, I picked up these pack of picks from Dollar Tree, and I got 3 different sizes. There's really tiny ones, a larger one, and a medium one. So I start by taking the sticks out of the bottom, and then I just cut these in half with my utility knife. Now definitely be a little bit careful when you're doing this, because this is like foam, you know, the ones that they're kind of like little balls all glued together. I know that sounds crazy, but I don't really know what to call it, but it will kind of leave you with a big indent on the side if you're not careful. So I kind of just go slowly and cut around, and then once I cut it around, then I take my knife and chop through it, if that makes any sense. But you can see what I'm doing here, and I did this for all 3 of my pumpkins. So once I have my pumpkins cut, I then take some Waverly chalk paint in, I believe this is moss. I will leave it, the name of it down below. I just am having a brain fart right now. But all the orange pumpkins, I did paint those with this green color. This green color I love for fall because, like I just said, I love like the toned down colors. I'm not really into like the bright orange or like bright red. But this color definitely screams fall to me. So let me know in the comments down below what colors you like for fall. So once I have all my little pumpkins painted, I then take whatever was left on my brush and I just kind of highlight the indents in these pumpkins just to give them a bit of dimension. And then I did the reverse on the other ones. So for the green ones, I took out the color cashew and I just dipped the edge off. I just dipped the edge of my brush into the paint. I dabbed off the excess and then I highlighted the same thing, just opposite colors on the green pumpkins. Once I have my pumpkins all painted, I then took some brown Waverly chalk paint and I painted the stems just because the stems were that bright orange, and definitely don't want that because it would not look cohesive in this project. And then the ones that did not have a stick, I kind of laid them out. And for the pumpkins that are going to be on the bottom, because I layered it, I left those without the stick. And then I did just have to add a stick to one of the pumpkins. But I just broke a piece off and then stuck it in the top. I then took out these wooden letters and I glued the truck to the middle. I definitely spelled pumpkin right. I know I had a lot of comments that I did not spell pumpkin right on my bin, and I didn't notice, you guys. Pregnancy brain is crazy. I definitely wouldn't have noticed if somebody didn't point it out. So thank you for pointing that out, and this time I definitely got it right, but I did paint all those letters black. I then just laid them out on my sign to make sure that they were where I liked them to be, and then I took some hot glue and I just glued my letters down, being very careful that I got them right in the spot that I did when I laid them out, because I don't know about you, but it's kind of hard to get that arch perfect when you're doing lettering, but I'm satisfied with the way it turned out. So after that, I went on my computer and I just printed out, I went on Google, typed in pumpkin patch sign, and then I just printed this wording out. I kind of just found an image that I liked that was like at the bottom. I put that into Word, blew it up, and then printed it out. After I print it out, I take my graphite paper and I trace that on, and then again take my black paint pen and go over the wording. So now comes the fun part. I could not wait to glue these pumpkins down and see exactly how it looked. So I just kind of arranged them before I glued them down, got an idea, and then set them aside. And then I just glued them how I thought that they would look okay. So if you don't like the setup that I have here, you can always change out your pumpkins or leave the pumpkin on that was on your truck. But I kind of just wanted this to be like a 3D pumpkin patch sign. So let me know what you guys think, but I'm definitely feeling this sign. I'm so tickled with the way it turned out. Sometimes when I'm doing these projects, I'm like, it sounds good in my head, but then I'm like, I don't know how it's going to turn out. But anyway, now I'm rambling on, but I just went ahead and glued the frame down. I started with the top, did the sides, and then the bottom to make sure that it fit correctly. Flipped it over and took a sawtooth hanger. I get these hangers with a bunch of different picture hangers in a pack. It comes in like a little box. Those are also linked in my Amazon favorites. It's definitely worth it. You get a crap ton for not very much. And then that is it for that one, you guys. So last but not least, I had these rub-on transfers. You guys, I hit the jackpot at Dollar Tree the other day. If you're not following me on Instagram, definitely go in the link in the description box and follow me on Instagram, because I get a little more personal over there. You can tag me if you have recreated my projects, or send me a message. It's totally up to you. But anyway, I got these eucalyptus rub-on transfers. I cut it out, laid it down where I wanted, took something. I always like to use a dowel because it's soft enough to where it's not going to cut through this film that's on the top, but hard enough to be able to scratch it on there. But the trick with these is it's definitely a learning curve. You have to just scratch as much as you can, and then I like to take my knife, lift it up a bit to make sure that it's sticking down. If you see a piece that's not quite stuck, just lay it back down, scrape it some more, and then continue on like that. I then had this wording from Dollar Tree, and they are rub-on transfers as well. So I cut out the word thankful, and this one was giving me trouble, you guys. I literally sat here for like 30 minutes trying to get this one to transfer, and it did halfway. So I'm not gonna lie, there was spots that were kind of like not transferred. So I got sick of it, pulled it up, and I just took my black paint pen and went over the little spots that did not transfer onto my project. But no harm, no foul. You can't tell. And I really actually love this little sign. But last but not least, I just took the frame and glued that on. So I hope you guys enjoyed this video. Thank you so much for stopping by. I love each and every one of you so much. I don't think you guys understand how much I appreciate all the love and support and comments you guys leave me. It really means the world to me. If you haven't subscribed already, definitely become part of the family. We have a lot of fun over here. And don't forget to give me a big thumbs up. And I will catch you guys later. Bye.